get a question from new guitar players on a pretty regular basis about what they should keep in their guitar case. Let's go inside and I will give you my humble opinion. What goes in my guitar case varies a little bit depending on what kind of guitar goes in any given case. There are a few things that are in every single case across the board, with the exception being my non-gigging guitars. I do have a few of those that never leave the studio. They just stay here all the time. Outside of them, like I said, there's a few things that are in absolutely every single case. Let's take a peek in one of the cases and see what's in there. Obviously, the guitar and the strap are going to be in there. You do keep your strap in your case with your guitar, don't you? You should. All right, so the guitar and the strap are obvious things, or at least they should be. You can see I've also got a towel in here. It's a dish towel, actually, that I use to wipe the guitar down at the end of my night because I sweat all over the thing and it's nasty if I don't. What else have we got? All right, so here's a pair of earplugs. So I keep earplugs in all my guitar cases, even though I use in-ear monitors for most of my full shows. Occasionally, there's a situation where I can't use the in-ear monitors for whatever reason. So every single guitar case has got at least one set of earplugs in there for those situations where I can't use my in-ear monitors. Of course, there's an extra set of strings. Let's see if we get this in focus here. There we go. There's always an extra set of strings, which I would think would be an obvious thing, but based on how many times I've had to lend another guitar player a string out of my spares, maybe it's not as obvious as I think, but I don't know. What do you think? What else have we got in here? Oh yeah, we got the wire cutters for cutting the strings. Now a lot of guys that I know will just leave the string hanging out there. And I have to admit I'm a little bit superstitious about this. Years ago, I had a friend from another band who stabbed one of his bandmates in the eye with an untrimmed string. He never trimmed his strings. He left the ends out there. He'd bend them at all kinds of wonky angles because he thought it looked cool. And then he stabbed his pal in the eye on stage during a gig. He started trimming them after that. I know the odds of me stabbing somebody in the eye or myself in the eye is incredibly small. But given how many weird accidents I've been in on stage and the rest of my life, I'm just kind of superstitious about it. So whenever I change strings at a gig, I always trim the end off. So every single one of my cases will have a pair of snips in there. What else have we got in here? Let's see. Okay, here's the string winder. Now the string winder is going to save you some time. And granted, it's only a few seconds. But if you have to change a string mid-set and the rest of your band is out there ad-libbing, vamping, trying to cover and fill time while you quick change a string, you're going to want that string winder because those seconds will count. Then of course we've got guitar picks, spare guitar picks. I always keep those in every single case. This is a set of AA batteries that fits my wireless transmitter, and I always have at least one set in every single guitar case. So those are the items that go in every single gigging guitar case that I have. As I mentioned, it depends a little bit on what the specific guitar is. For instance, my baritone, it has all these items, but the strings are different because I use a different gauge string for the baritone guitar. As you can see, here's the picks. I'm gonna drop those on the package of earplugs. Here's those heavier gauge strings. Try and get them where you can see them here, see that they're really heavier. And you can see I've got the string cutters, I've got the string winder, there's batteries for the wireless unit there, and then the upper corner, of course, is the guitar strap. So all the essentials are there, only difference is the gauge of the strings. So in my Floyd Rose and floating trem equipped guitars, in addition to all that stuff that you just saw, I do have a couple other items that go in those cases. As you probably know, floating trem equipped guitars usually have a locking nut right there. And then you have a locking string block on the bridge. So you need an Allen wrench for those two parts of a floating trem equipped guitar. So I always carry a spare Allen wrench in my guitar case. All my floating trem equipped guitars have an Allen wrench attached to the back of the headstock already. And that's super convenient to have it there. You know, if you need to do a massive retune while you're on stage, then you use that to loosen the locking nut and you can retune using your tuning keys. There's different types of Allen wrenches that go on the back of the headstocks. So you can see there's a plastic thing right there. And that used to take a big fat Allen wrench. But the problem was that it didn't go through a hole, it just clipped in. That's just open, that's sort of a U-shaped clip. There are Allen wrenches that will attach to the tuning keys with magnets. If you're active on stage, you're gonna lose them. The one that went in this U-shaped clip on the back of this headstock, I know where it is. It's underneath the stage at Dirty Nellie's in Palatine, Illinois. I was thrashing around on stage and it came off and I watched it bounce underneath the drum riser through a crack, and now it's probably an ornament for spiders and centipedes. There's a couple different styles out there that don't clip in, they slide in through a hole on a little mounting device on the back of your headstock, and that's the type I'd recommend. Or you could do what I did. I just picked up one from the local hardware store. You can see here I paid $1.10 for it. I trimmed the holder and I just glued it to the back of my headstock. Or maybe I used double-sided tape or something. And I haven't lost any of these Allen wrenches on stage since I've done that. Anyway, let's take a look at what's inside one of my floating trem equipped guitars. As usual, there's a strap, there's the cloth, the little towel for wiping it down. In this case, I've got my wireless unit that always goes with this guitar. I guess this is what most guys would call their #1 guitar because I take this to all my gigs. In addition to the guitar and the strap, you can see we've got all the stuff that we have in the other ones. We've got the string cutters, spare strings, set of batteries, guitar picks. For whatever reason, I got a roll of electrical tape in there. I have a spare cord for my wireless transmitter, string winder. Here you can see that spare Allen wrench. There's one on the back of the headstock, but there's also this one in the case. And of course, my whammy bar and some earplugs are in there someplace too. I used to carry a small tuner, inexpensive tuner, and a short, cheap guitar cord in every single one of my gigging guitar cases, but I do something a little bit different these days. I have a backpack that goes to every single gig with me now, and I throw the tuner and the cable in there. In fact, let's take a look at that and let's see what else is in there. All right, let's pop this thing open. First thing you see is my stage towel. Yes, my stage towel has Superman on it. And I got a notebook, looks like the pen fell out. And then I always have a guitar cable in case I can't use my wireless or it fails. And then I have a second guitar cable because redundancy. And we've got a spare guitar strap. And here's the inexpensive guitar tuner and the cheap cable. I think a couple of my guitars still have those in the case. And we got a clean, dry t-shirt. We got a couple or 3 copies of all my albums in there, all my CDs. What's this? Oh, this is the phone charging cable, right? USB phone charging cable. Deodorant, essential. Toothbrush. Hairbrush, not that I got much hair left, but a guy can hope. There's the pen that goes with the notebook. What's in the side pocket? Earplugs, more earplugs. Gotta have those earplugs. Keep rooting around. What do we got? More writing implements. There's the phone charger. There's something else in here. There it is. There's the flashlight. I knew there was a flashlight in there somewhere. That's all the stuff that I keep in the backpack. Now, if you've got a really good gig bag, a lot of the items that I put in the backpack could go into the gig bag. Probably most of it. And honestly, this is not an end-all be-all list for guitar players. It all depends on what your situation is as to what you put in your guitar case or your gig bag or a backpack you might take with you. For instance, an acoustic player is not going to need the same things I need, but he will want bridge pins, and you'll want to make sure that his string winder's got a bridge pin puller on it so that he can get those bridge pins out when he needs to. He might want a capo. I don't have any of that stuff in any of my cases because it doesn't apply. So you need to think about your situation and load up accordingly. If you're in a band playing local gigs, you might put some of this stuff into a case with your pedal board or You might have some cases that just everybody's cables go into. So you have to, again, think about your individual situation. If you're in a big time touring band, you should have guitar techs that manage all this stuff. And if you're in a big time touring band, why are you watching this video? If you're in a band just starting out touring, maybe some of this stuff will help you, because if you're jamming 5 guys and a couple of roadies into one van with all your gear, space is definitely a consideration, as is organization. So maybe these tips will help you out there. If you're doing gigs where the backline is provided, or you're doing an open mic type thing, just grab your gig bag or your guitar case in your backpack and travel light. That's what I do. When I get invited to sit in with a band, I grab a guitar in my backpack and away I go. One thing I almost forgot to mention is a couple of tools that I don't take with me. I don't take a truss rod wrench. I don't take a little tiny screwdriver for adjusting 2 pneumatic bridges. All that stuff goes into my setup tool bag, and the setup tool bag only goes with me when we're either on tour or doing a short string of gigs, 2 or 3 days worth of gigs where I can't make it back to my studio where I've got all this stuff. There's no point in taking things with you that you don't need, hence my ridiculous thumbnail. So what did I miss? What do you guys put in your gig bags or your guitar cases or even your backpacks that I didn't mention? Leave a comment down below. Help another guitar player out maybe. Maybe help me out. I don't know. All right, I think that's all I got for today. Hopefully this helps some of you guys. If it did, hit the like button. Help me out here with the algorithm. Until next time, live well and rock hard.